What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and buckle up this week. It's time to see if Woody Johnson's learned anything since firing Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas when it comes to being more pliable, more adaptable to the ebbs and flows of the NFL and, you know, how news and events happens, right? So nobody, I won't say anybody, but generally there was shock that the Commanders beat out the Detroit Lions, right? It was definitely an upset. If I recall correctly, the Lions were at least 14-point favorites in this game, and I don't really want to spend time talking about, or at least putting out pointers to try to convince people about why I still think Aaron Glenn is a awesome coach, right, and a great candidate to be a head coach. But in terms of how that game went, I know that was a major turning point for people that were either on the fence or that were just checking them out after hearing all the news. And what I'll say is there's one easy comparison that's been thrown out there already. Dan Quinn, Commanders head coach. You take a look at how he got beat down by the Packers in a wild card game to the tune of 48 points, and now he has his rookie quarterback in first-year regime in the NFC Championship game, one win away from the Super Bowl, right? Now, ultimately, and also to the fact, I put out some stuff the other day, right? You're talking about 18 players on IR, somewhere in that range, 30 different starters on defense. There's a lot that goes into it, but ultimately you judge Aaron Glenn on his body of work year after year after year. That Detroit defense has improved, and not necessarily due to overwhelming resources being poured into that side of the ball, right? Not to say that they had nothing, but injuries is realistically the major, red flag there when it comes to judging him. And still, he's had a top defensive unit, and it's been a defense that's predicated on turnovers, which is something the New York Jets would be happy to have in a heartbeat, right? And this is not to mention talking about having like practice squad and fourth string guys on here, right? It resembles more of a preseason roster than it does one that should be in the playoffs. So with that out of the picture, the main point here is that the timeline for us to be able to go out and get somebody like Aaron Glenn is significantly moved up, right? Adam Schefter pointed this out. It sped up the entire cycle because the teams that are looking for head coaches, Saints, Jets, Bears, Raiders, and Jaguars, I don't think they were expecting the Commanders to win, and for Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the offensive and defensive coordinators of the Detroit Lions, to be in the mix, be able to meet with teams starting tomorrow, which will be today, Monday. And they can be hired as early as this week. So the expectation, or at least the rumor that's kind of being framed out there according to Adam Schefter, is that by this week, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn could be off the board. And so it's a huge disadvantage for the Jets, because if the Lions won, you wouldn't have been able to interview Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn, right? These guys, anybody on that staff, they wouldn't have been available until the week after that championship game. And so that gives you, a 2-week window, whatever the case is going to be, in order for you to figure out your general manager. The New York Jets, at this point in time, still hasn't finalized their list and got guys in for their second interviews when it comes to the general managers. We haven't pared down our list for head coaches, right? We're still interviewing guys as of, I think, Friday. We just finished with the Packers DC Hadley, right? Or Halfley, something like that. I don't know what's going to happen here, right? It really puts the pressure on Woody Johnson to really make a decision, right? I've respected the process of how slow this has been, but it's been methodical. It's been thorough. Well, methodical up to the point of us interviewing the Maryland guy, right? Which there was some crazy rumors out there about that being a favor, but nonetheless, it's been thorough. It's been methodical, and you can appreciate the vastness of the search, right? We've essentially left no stone unturned, as you'll hear as common terminology here. But what do we do from here, right? You need Woody Johnson ultimately to be able to make fast-paced decisions, right? And this is something why it's critical to have key front office guys in place, right? And so who knows? Maybe Woody Johnson isn't actually stalling this thing out. Maybe it is the 33rd team and Rick Spielman saying, hey, I know usually you jump on a guy that you love at first sight, but at this time, there's a couple different qualified guys and there's a couple different things that separate them. Let's really make sure that you're understanding the decision that you make so you feel good about this in a year from now. You're not saying, this guy was terrible, we got to get rid of him, and we're starting this whole process all over again, right? So what I walk away from this thinking about is, again, what is the level of confidence? What is the speed in which we can get this process completed? Does a decision need to be done absolutely this week? No. But considering Aaron Glenn's not going to wait around forever, you have the Jaguars pressing, you have him being opened up to a ton of other teams. There's Cowboys connections that are growing now, right? So whether he's your favorite candidate or not, either way, this can start, you're talking about two candidates at the very least of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn that could take two teams off the table. And once you see one more head coach go, you're going to start to see the floodgates open. And the rest of these teams, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Bears, they're going to be in a frenzy looking for who's going to be their guy, especially since there's a little bit of overlap here with at least a couple of candidates. So the I guess, hidden bonus of looking at all these guys, even if they don't end up being the top guys on this list, is the pairing together overall could still be good, right? I'm looking at like Joe Brady and Brian Gaines, for example, as an underrated duo that may work. Maybe somebody like Josh McCown and Greenberg or something like that. Hadley and Eric Sullivan, John Eric Sullivan, as a combination. You can still get a duo you feel about, even if the individual parts may not be the best candidates that you would have wanted to track down. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your guys' thoughts here, though. Do you expect to see some kind of announcement for a hire this week? Or are you just satisfied with getting these secondary or final interviews completed? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.